welcome to another episode. This is your host Dre, and coming with a quickie today on my lunch break. Been having a lot of conversations, personally, professionally, on the interwebs about various things, and there's like a constant theme in a lot of it that I keep realizing, and this one might be a little bit of a struggle vid, so just a heads up, but it's gonna be a struggle just because to me it's like obvious things are obvious but also apparently not as well at the same time. And the obvious thing is everybody's in a bubble. Whether you think you are the most informed and enlightened individual, or whether you're purposely the most cut off to the outside world, everybody's in a bubble. And just because you have a particular worldview and experience, it can be difficult sometimes conversing with some who are just, I guess you say they rebuke any type of grounding. And what I mean by that is, I guess first it's kind of important to define things. What is a bubble? Don't got my phone in front of me because obviously I'm shooting on it, but just an ad hoc definition on the fly. A bubble is the sphere of influence, or sphere of exposure rather, that a person is limited to through their everyday life, be that work, personal and recreational, etc. So a lot of us have a tool called the internet. And one thing that I've really noticed is that some folks really, you would think it would be easy to research and find the truth behind some things. And that's really not the case a lot of the times. Or basically it's more so a half truth, I guess, rather. And when it comes down to it, and being in a bubble, and what I mean by everybody's in a bubble, just some of us are more aware than others. Some of us challenge our ideas. Some of us look to see what all is out there on a particular thing that we may believe, because I can guarantee there's not a person on the planet that doesn't believe something, that at least one thing that isn't factual. But that's probably the prevailing thought of the bubble that they're in, the sphere that they're in. And if they never had a challenge, then it's gospel to them. And my biggest place where I'm going with this is why it's important to have facts, data, and statistics. And in a lot of my personal conversations, like sometimes when I start to like, oh, well, you know what? Hold up 1 second. Let's Google that. Or if I know it, I might throw like, well, nah, that's not true. Actually, this is only prevalent at such and such a rate. A lot of times the immediate rebuttal is, yeah, but I know a lot of people that are such and such, or I know a lot of guys who are blah blah blah. I know a lot of ladies who this is the case for them. This is the case for the people I see. And it becomes one of those things. It's like, all right, cool, what's your sample size? Like, let's be honest with each other. There's 44-ish million black folks in this country right now. let's say you have a big social circle, like what you talking, maybe like 100 folks that you really interacting with like that. And I mean, like, whether that's work, school, your family, like, our circles are not as big as we would like to think that they are. And this is the other part that comes in a bubble when it comes to anecdotal experience. We tend to gravitate to others that are like us. So if you and your friends have certain similarities, in certain areas, chances are y'all gonna have similarities in several other shared areas. Whether it's the type of media y'all like, whether it's the hobbies that y'all engage in, whether it's even the products that you buy and consume, culturally, food you eat, so on and so forth. Excuse me. But reality of it is, even if you have a big circle, because of those things, that's not representative of everybody. And that's why it's important to have and consider facts, data, and statistics. That's not to say that it's infallible, but it does give you a grounding point. And a lot of times I feel like whenever I bring those things up, people think that, oh, you're trying to invalidate my experience. No, actually, nah. Hey, if you have a shitty experience, you have a shitty experience. Or if you have something happen to you, it happened to you. That's real. That's important to acknowledge that. It's also important to contextualize those experiences because, for example, if I'm a person that got struck by lightning and I'm in a group of people who got struck by lightning, to us, it probably feel like, dang, man, everybody getting hit by lightning. When in actuality, like, yo, we just some of the most unlucky people out there. And, that's an extreme example, but it just kind of goes to, it just for illustration of the point. Like, most people ain't getting hit by lightning. Most people can't relate. Most people, that's not happening to. Some people probably do have a fear of that. And it's may be reasonable or unreasonable, depending on certain weather conditions, depending on certain circumstances. But when it comes down to it, I don't think that it's not a bad thing. And even if something isn't as prevalent as we may initially think it is, we shouldn't take it as a bad thing. It just helps contextualize what we see. And sometimes we're surrounded by a lot of outliers. Just a kind of an example is, I have yet to talk to somebody about the involvement of fathers. And, it's a particular study that's been done a couple times now that talks about how involved Black fathers are in their children's lives. And it is like trying to put together a Rubik's Cube or something for some folks. It's like, nah, I can't believe that. I know there's a lot of deadbeat guys and blah, blah, blah and all this. And it's like, yeah, there are some guys who are that. There are some guys who don't step up. Whenever you have a large population, there's going to be some. It's inevitable. If I was talking about just 100, hell, even just 1,000, I feel confident that, you know what? Given particular circumstances, I'll be sure there wouldn't be one. But when you're talking about millions and millions and millions of people, if it can happen, it probably will. So yeah. But it's just one of those things where, like, just because it's not what we initially thought or just what we initially believed, just because we've ingested something for a long time, doesn't mean that, one, the experiences or certain things that we may have witnessed didn't happen. Nobody's saying that these things didn't happen, but it does contextualize those things. And I think it actually does give you a starting point for, if certain outcomes and conclusions are what you want or are not what you want, okay, what are some of the similarities that these things share? What's the spider web? What was it back in old grade school? What's the Venn diagram of characteristics that all these things share? I'm sorry. This was a struggle for me. I feel like I normally like to have some type of angle or whatnot, but I feel like I'm just stating the obvious, and oh God. But I guess to kind of just wrap everything up, it's important to challenge what we believe as a people. And one important place where I think that's really needed is in how we view ourselves. Being frank, if you're in America, you've consumed some racist, anti-black misandry content and beliefs at some point in your life. And even if you're a black person that's watching this, I just want to say this, like, hey, look, it's okay. It's not okay to know the truth or to find the truth and keep perpetrating it. And the reality of it is this: we live in a white supremacist country. Like, racism, quote unquote nigger bashing, it's as American as apple pie. And once you had that realization, I think it helps to be able to get the wheels turning to contextualize things differently, to contextualize our experiences differently. At the end of the day, I want us to see us as we really are, not as somebody wants us to see us. Because the reality of it is this: there are a lot of proper propaganda outlets and figures out there who will only tell you one side of a narrative, would drudge up any story they can find from the dregs of our society and use that to paint that as if that's the whole of Black America. And when it comes down to my people, I know my people are virtuous. I know that my people are righteous. I know that my people are kind. My people are industrious. My people are hard workers. My people will make something out of nothing. My people will come up with some stuff that'll blow your fucking mind. And that's the Black America that often gets hidden. Like, no shade or nothing like that, but if you enjoy some of these entertainers who's out here just promoting a particular image, fine, cool. But there's more to us than that. Whole hell of a lot more to us than that. We more than somebody up flashing a goddamn money phone and shaking their ass. And the biggest disservice that was done to us was these narratives actually are very similar to the narratives that were spun about us coming out of slavery. The one thing that I would argue is a little bit different is they've been updated and revised a little bit with time. But coming out of slavery, we knew who we were. We knew those things weren't true about ourselves because they sounded fallacious. But with time, we kept getting beaten and battered over the head with those narratives and assertions. And at a certain point in time, we started to internalize some of those things. And we as a people have to begin the journey of deprogramming that propaganda. So I would just simply say this: if you have some of those beliefs, if you're somebody that grapples with that cognitive dissonance between what certain facts and studies and data may say about some of the beliefs that you hold, especially in relation to, black folks, especially if you're black. I'll just leave you with this. Like I've said in so many videos, take a second to look up and question how you got there. Peace. I'm out.